A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the YGC 10 Explore webinar series. As part of YAR Geek Challenge Season 10, we are organizing this Explore webinar series in order to explore the opportunities in different domains so that the participants or potential participants could pick on this problem and work as their YAR Geek Challenge application as well as their startups which they are going to launch in future. So as part of this webinar series, today we are going to talk about social enterprises. So we have our speaker here today, Heminda Jayavira, who is a serial innovator and entrepreneur who's going to talk about social enterprise and how you could start your venture by picking a social problem. So Heminda, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, YAL IT Hub, for giving me the opportunity. So I think what you have to understand, I think I will give you a little basics about what is a social enterprise. So a lot of people thinks, I think there's a misconception that, you know, when you call it social, in the word social, it's a sort of a charity thing or a philanthropy thing. So remember, social enterprise or social entrepreneurship or even social innovation doesn't mean that you are doing philanthropy or a charity work. So social enterprise also, you are allowed to make money. You are allowed to even make profit also. So what you are doing, but the fundamental difference is that you are trying to solve a underlying social problem in the entire the value chain. When it comes to an enterprise, you know, you have to have, you know, the entrepreneurship. You have to make sure there's an entrepreneur or a team that who is guiding that. There's a team who is working behind that. You know, you have to add value to your customer or users. You have to solve a problem that is widely available in the society. So all that is there, and only difference that you you face is basically there is a focus towards a social problem which is either prevalent in the country or maybe globally. And when it comes to even if you look at the definition of entrepreneurship, also you talks about, because a lot of people think even in entrepreneurship it's like a businessman or a business, you are doing a business, but there's a difference between business and entrepreneurship. See, entrepreneurship again is you are trying to solve solve problems of not one person, but many people, right? So it's basically the real meaning of entrepreneurship has a lot of social aspects as well. So, so if you try to mix up the two, you will see that social entrepreneurship is actually is very much connected. And even if you look at entrepreneurship, you know, itself, it has a lot of social aspects. So the difference between maybe in a typical entrepreneurship venture and a social entrepreneurship venture is that you have a lot of focus on solving a problem that is widely prevalent in the social you know, arena, and I would say that you can't make you know, super profit out of that, because what they say is if it is a social enterprise, a lot of companies comes under sometimes even different what do you call it, legal entities. Also there's a special legal entity for social enterprise in Sri Lanka called guaranteed companies. So what they say is if you have a profit, you have to put that profit back to the course. So it doesn't mean that, you know, the owner can make a living out of it. Yes, he can make a living out of it, he can make profits, but ideally if you are making super profit out of the venture, that should be put back into the you know, the real course that you are trying to solve. So that's the very fundamental difference in social enterprises, social entrepreneurship. But I will try to, rather than talking about you know, more theoretical sense, I'll try to explain two of my own social enterprises that I've been running for the last 4 to 5 years. So with that, you can understand how it differ and how it varies based on maybe typical entrepreneurial venture or a startup. But again, as I said, social enterprise can be a startup, can be a SME, can have the same features of a entrepreneurial venture. So I'll first go to I'll try to share my screen. Also, I won't share anything in terms of like a PowerPoint, but I'll share my website itself. You can see this is something that I started with my co-founder Hasanka about 5 years ago. Actually 2017, early 2017, so 4+ years now. So where we saw the problem was myself, my co-founder, both were hikers. So we used to hike in a lot of places all around Sri Lanka, especially mountainous areas, beautiful places. And there was one hike I remember I did a long time ago in 2001, because I used to hike since I was like age 14, 15 that time. And then I saw this particular place in Uva province called Bambarakanda Waterfalls, which is one of the, in fact, the tallest waterfall in Sri Lanka and one of the most beautiful places in Sri Lanka. I used to camp on top of the waterfall. And I remember there was amount of water, the forest coverage in that area. But then later in 2015 or 2016, just before I got this idea of Turu, uh, I saw there was a vast difference in the amount of water that is flowing. So I wanted to see what's the reason. This is 15 years later in 2015 or 16. And I saw there's a lot of forest in the upper area of the waterfall has been cleared. A lot of people have been inhabited. There's some people are growing vegetables. Forest is being cleared to plant vegetables and things like that. So I saw there's something happening. And then 5 to 6 months later, I saw there was this rainy period, and I saw there's huge amount of water flowing in the same waterfall, but it's in brown in color. So it's actually there's a lot of soil erosion happening in the upper layer of side of the waterfall. So I realized there's all these problems that we talks about, climate change to soil being getting degraded, a lot of problems that we talk is actually not actually you are going to face them in the near future, not that it will take generations to see this whole effect of climate change. You will see it during your own lifetime. So then myself and my co-founder, we are both coming from technology background. Myself, electronic engineer, and also my co-founder is also coming from project management side in technology industry. So we realized we don't know anything about these trees and agriculture or forestry or anything, but let's try to do something to solve this problem from the things that we know, which is more technology. So what we studied a bit, and we realized that whole this forest, when it comes to deforestation, the amount of forest coverage that we are losing every year, Sri Lanka is one of the highest in the world. And of course, we still have one of the most highest biodiversity places in the world, but then we are very quickly, we are losing most of these places. So then we realized we have to do something. First, we have to stop deforestation, but then again, it has a lot of other issues that, to control it, because people sometimes even just for you and I, just to have build a house or even to grow your vegetables, you have to sometimes clear forest trees and all that. But then again, on the other side, why can't we regrow the forest that we are, which we call reforestation? But then again, I saw the problem. Reforestation is, in fact, is happening in ad hoc manner. A lot of people are planting trees, but there is no organized efforts in all this. And also, only very few people planting trees. Say if we have 21 million population, maybe 5 to 10% who are actually planting trees. Rest of the people are maybe talking about a lot on Facebook, talks about the deforestation, talks about the reforestation, but they don't even do what they can do. So we thought we need to change this. The best way is to bring more people into planting trees or promote reforestation and support them who are actually doing something for the nature. So that was the birth of our first effort, which was actually called Turu app. We started with an app. So basically what we did was we built an app. So with that app, you can show what you are planting. I mean, you plant a tree, take a picture, upload to the app. App is free, and then you can share that the image on the Facebook or wherever. Then the app will start counting how many trees that you have planted, and also it look after the fact that you're looking after the plant also. Say after 3 months, you have to send another picture and show that you are looking after the plant as well, which is more difficult part and which is much more important than just planting. So we promoted this app and we wanted to show it like a Facebook for trees. So today, of course, we have a huge target of say planting 2 million trees with the app. We have not achieved that, but then we are very proud to say even now we have about close to 50,000 trees on the app. About 11,000 plus people are using it. And on top of that, there are a lot of other initiatives that we started after the app as well. For example, we started a method where we started when we started a lot of events, in Sri Lanka to plant trees with the support of various corporates as their events. We supported and we started managing those events. And then also we started the network of nurseries. And then also we started this particular technology where you can take a seed, even you can post it, called a seed pod, which we have already sold about 30,000 such seed pods in Sri Lanka. So basically we have sent those seed pods to about 30,000 houses. And then also we started, experimenting with drones, how to plant trees. So all these were more technology savvy things. What we wanted to show is that we can use technology to accelerate reforestation. But then we realized something. We have a target of planting 2 million trees. But then if we do it in charity mode, because earlier we started putting our own money into it, the app we developed and managed it with our own money. But then we started, of course, getting a few grants. We got one grant from Dialogue. Then there's another grant we got from Mobitel after, going through a competition. Then we got ICTA spiralation grant as well, but we got those grants. But then we realized we can't survive only from grants or putting our own money. We need to create it as a monetization method. Otherwise, you can't complete the whole social enterprise model. The social enterprise is, as I said, is not charity. You have to create your own monetization method. So we tried a lot of things. First, we tried with, supporting corporates in their own reforestation programs. So that's one thing that we did. We did a lot of events. But then we realized even that is a bit ad hoc. We need to have a much more, straightforward mechanism of funding our effort. So what we did was late, I think 2019, we started this online store. So I think that's the most successful project under Turu for us in terms of making it a social enterprise. So what we did was we linked up with a lot of nurseries owned by various people. So we are trying to create a network of nurseries, and we are sourcing those products, not just plants, anything that you want to plant a tree. For example, it could be seeds, it could be plants, it could be pots, fertilizer, grow media, tools, anything that you want to plant a tree, we are sourcing them. So right now, of course, we have about 600 plus different varieties. You can online order. Unfortunately, we are not available island-wide right now, only in Western Province, Colombo and Gampaha. So we deliver to homes as well. And the product actually became quite a success, especially during the COVID quarantine periods, and also these periods where we had issues like lockdowns and things like that. So today we are doing quite well through store. So we are planning to have our own offline store or brick and mortar sort of plant shop as well in the near future. So that's the story of Turu. And we today we run, as I said, about 600 different products. We have the app, which is catering to about 11,000 plus people. We are a entity self-sustaining now. So we are making all the, we have our own cost, but we managed to We have about 3 to 4 people full-time working in this, and then few part-timers as well. And we manage everything. We are running the organization for the last 4 years. So everything is, we have a much bigger plans to the future as well. And we have a good monetization model as well. So that's how we brought in Turu up to now. And then while doing this, so I'll move on to our next project as well, which was Zero Trash. So Zero Trash happened actually about 2 years ago. The idea came. So we realized we used to plant trees at a place called Karadiana, which is one of the biggest waste dumps in Colombo district. And there was one event that we did that was way back in 2018. And we saw that there's this particular plastic problem is huge in Sri Lanka. So what we want to do is Turu is actually, we want to plant like an orchard, like a set of fruit trees to around the huge waste dump. So to show this place as a nicer place, because usually with waste dumps, what we see is there's a lot of odor coming. It's not nice, it's not pleasant. People living close by, they see the dump every time. So why not take this particular area much more, environmentally friendly? So we started growing trees around the waste dump. And during that project, we learned the whole problem, because we saw so many trucks and lorries of, full of waste coming there. In fact, we counted about 100 plus vehicles coming per day to this waste dump, each carrying about 5 to 6 tons of waste. So it's about 800 tons per day coming to this particular place, and there's no end to it. So we realized, and then as a team, so it's the same team that with Turu, we focused on Zero Trash also. So the idea is to someday make Sri Lanka's, I mean, of course, it's a very, I would say, difficult target to achieve, make trash zero. But then we realize you can't achieve that, one day, but let's cut down the problem into areas that you can manage. So then we looked at, okay, triple R, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle. Those are the ways that you can reduce trash. Out of that, reduce and reuse is the most important things. But then we realize a lot of education has to happen to get there. So that is something pretty difficult. But then we realized, so my co-founder, Hasankar, did a wonderful thing. I think that's, good to tell that story. He actually moved out of his corporate, very well-paid corporate job. He started becoming a garbage collector. So just to learn what is this so-called trash problem. And in fact, we particularly, we were interested in the plastic problem out of the entire trash. Our trash covers a lot of areas, but then we cut down into the plastic problem. And then he started collecting trash, and in that process, he learned the real problem behind the plastic trash. So there's something called this collector's problem. So collector's problem is basically we have enough and more plastic recyclers in the country, but then we don't see plastic trash coming to these recyclers in the adequate amount. So there's one company, they have a facility about 600 tons per month, but they are getting only about 250 tons of plastic, because unlike other scrap, like scrap metal to maybe cardboard, there is no economic benefit for people who are collecting plastic. That's why people don't collect plastic and give it to a recycler. For example, when Hasankar started collecting the first lorry of plastic, he spent about 7,000 rupees. And in the process, he spent about 7,000 rupees for the driver, to the vehicle, petrol, everything. And by the time he went and gave the plastic trash to the recycler, he got only about 2,500 rupees. So there's a huge loss. So then we reanalyzed this whole collector's problem. We managed to do certain changes, tweak the, certain things that we do. And we managed to reduce the cost and also, manage the operations efficiently. So we managed to collect about 2 tons of plastic per month at a loss of about 20 to 25%. So again, still we are losing, but then we managed to cut down a lot of our cost and manage it in a better way. So we ran this operation for about nearly 1.5 years, and then but at a loss. So remember, social enterprise is not easy. Unlike maybe other enterprises or entrepreneurial ventures, social enterprise is based on you're trying to solve a problem, but may not have necessarily a good monetization method. So the good monetization method comes if you do an innovation in the monetization method in your business model. So I think, remember, if you want to uh, make a sustainable model, there's a lot of innovation has to happen, or you have to try a lot of innovative methods to in the business model. So business model innovation is very important in social innovation. So we started doing this. I mean, we were ready to spend a lot of money. I mean, like every month we were losing, but we were ready for that. We were fine tuning the problem every day. And then we came up with a model that if we can increase up to 10 tons per month, we can make a break even model. So that's the first step. Of course, you have to make profit, but at least the first step is to make sure that you get into the break even model. So right now we got an investor as well to support, and we built our first proper collection center. Earlier it was like a 2-ton facility in an ad hoc manner. Today we have in Borlaskamua in Colombo about 70 perch land. We got that land on rent basis, built a facility which cost about 2 to 2.5 million rupees. And now we are on our way to collect 10 tons of plastic waste, reprocess them, and send it to recycler. We are ready in every sense. So when we achieve 10 tons per month, we can make it a break-even level operation. Probably we will be the first organization, Zero Trash will be the first organization where we are running a collection mechanism for plastic waste at a break-even model. Of course, there are a lot of people who do waste collection, but they comes with a lot of other things. For example, they do lot of scrap metal collection, and there is much more beneficial. But plastic collection itself is something that you have to be very careful, because there are a lot of cost, because you are talking about a lot of volumes, not so much the weight, and the payment are based on weight. So even if you send a lorry full of plastic, it's about 200 to 300 kilograms. And what you are getting is a very small amount compared to the expenditure that you have to bear for the driver, to the person supporting staff, to petrol, or the other logistic expenditure. So, but we managed to build that center. As I said, probably the Sri Lanka's first break-even model for plastic collection. So we are planning to build similar centers island-wide. So that's our plan, and make sure that we have the much better impact in terms of plastic waste collection. And then we are looking at moving into recycling and various other methods to look at profit side. So I think that's what we are planning. So right now we are going to start the pickup model. So we can, any customer can come to our website, do a quick pickup, then we can go and collect their plastic trash. So that's what we are trying to start very soon. So right now what we do is basically we collect plastic from various corporates, and also we cover the bins of plastic cycle, which is an initiative by John Keel's group. So we do that, and in fact John Keels is our investor as well in this particular initiative. So remember, as I mentioned, social enterprise itself, here I explained 2 scenarios, both connected to environment problem, social problem related to environment. And we are trying to solve that. But remember, doing social enterprise is maybe much more tougher than just coming up with a normal venture, because you have to do a lot of fine tuning in your business model. Otherwise, there is no profit in that model. But if you don't make profit, or if you don't come to break even situation, it's not an enterprise. So taking that, you need a lot of innovations in the business model. And also remember, the biggest thing as an entrepreneur, what you get is the self-satisfaction, and there's a lot of impact that you can bring. For example, even in Turu, that we can always say that we have supported 50,000 trees to be planted. I mean, everything you can see in the app itself. Then we have managed to send about 20 to 30,000 seed pods to about 20 to 30,000 houses in the country, and also through online store. So far, we have managed to send about more than 20,000 trees to over 4,000 households in the last couple of 1.5 years. So the impact wise is huge that you can give. So there's always their self-satisfaction. And even in zero trash model, we have collected more than 27 tons of plastic for the time being, and send them to recycling. So 27 tons means 1 ton means at least 30,000 bottles. So 27 tons means we have at least collected closer to uh, you know 600,000 to 700,000 plastic bottles and send them to recycling. So imagine the amount of plastic that we have cleaned from oceans, from waste dumps to even from incineration. So the self satisfaction is always high when you do social enterprise. But if you manage it in such a way and you found the right the business model innovation, you can make sure that you get the right amount of profit also. That's what we are doing at the moment in Turu. We are making good profits. Zero trash right now, it's still, we are not up there, but we know there's a path to get into break even. But we know for sure by end of this year we will be breaking even. So there's a ways and more means of doing it. So I think I hope you had a good introduction about what is social enterprise. So it's basically we are trying to solve social problems. You can make money out of it. You can make profits out of it. You can run an organization in the same way like a normal venture. But only difference is if you say it's the social impact out of that enterprise is huge. But if you are making, even if you make profit, that's fine. But the underlying target should be even to dedicate that profit also back into the course. The challenge to the entrepreneur is that you have to be very thorough about what you are doing, and your enterprise has to be very efficient unit. And also you have to make sure that the business model innovation has to be in a different level. So thank you very much. I think I've been given about 20 to 25 minutes for this session. But if you have any questions, let me know. I can explain, give a lot of support, ideas about how to solve a social problem using social enterprise, like I'm doing and I did with Turu and Zero Trash. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Heminder, for that clear explanation on what is social enterprise and more detail on that. So participants, if you all have any questions, you can either post it on the Q&A or you can raise your hand so that we can unmute you.
So don't worry. I mean, you can ask anything. I'm sure that you have maybe even you have not even thought about starting something, but that's okay. Even if you have thought about some idea, but how to take that idea to a prototype, I can support. Even if you have already done up to a prototype and you don't know how to take it to like a business model and launch the product, you might be having problems. I can support. And even if you have done something, you are already making money, but how to scale it up. And if you have any questions, you can ask. So any level, idea to launch to scale up, anywhere. I mean, don't worry that you're asking a silly question. Don't worry about that. Ask any question, I can answer.
So looks like our participants here don't have any questions. Yeah, there's one who has raised the hand. Let me allow. Keith, you could unmute yourself now.
Sorry, I couldn't get a time to join earlier. Just now I joined, but from the series statement, I would like to ask something. Sir, will you please explain? There are a lot of problems in exporting our product to international market. So, will you please explain how we can reach the international market as an entrepreneur or a startup person?
Can you explain what kind of products that you're looking at? Because depending on the product, the whole methodology, everything differ.
It is food items.
Okay, so food items, there are, I think one of the things, have you started selling that within the country for the time being?
Already we have started to sell that within the country.
Right.
But we are having some customers from abroad also. They are directly coming and purchasing our product and going before the COVID situation. Now we have stopped.
Okay, is it a fresh fruit, fresh products, or is it something that you sort of you have enough time, like from manufacturing to consumption? Do you have like 6 months, 1 year? What kind of product that you actually, even in food, what kind of product that you're looking at?
It is like 1 or 2 years expiry date with manufactured foods. And also I'm covering the people who are working in the Palmyra board and everything. So people who are taking the Palmyra use and try to send it to abroad. A lot of items like some snacks items like mixture or something. People are waiting to reach the international market, but they are unable to get any support from the EDP, and they don't have any knowledge to access these people. So those are the kind of problem they are facing. And even to come up with a new product, they don't know how to formulate the product. They are unable to get the product formulation from the IDP also, because these people are consuming a lot of time. Even we don't get any support from them. So we are going to get this product formulation from the abroad with very high cost. So what do you like to tell about this regarding this matter, and how to overcome these problems as an entrepreneur?
So I'll tell you, it depends on the country also. For example, if you want to sell it to, say, US market, or European market, they are very particular about the food standards, the quality, and all that. So and if it is something totally new, for example, if it is a product that even quite famous in, say, Europe or maybe US, it's not difficult. But if it is totally different products, for example, that people don't know what it is, for example, even sometimes to the level that you are trying to sell rice to, say, European market, most of the Europeans may not know much about rice, how to make rice and the cooking methods, do all that. So you have to do a lot of explanation. So with all that, what happens is generally your marketing cost goes up, right? So you have to do a lot of, even if you have a person in those countries, they have to put extra effort to market that product, in those countries, because you have to do a lot of explanations for the consumer. So make sure, if you are selling like an end product, like ready to eat type of product, right? Of course, countries like those countries, they are very particular about the food standards, right? Whether it's organic or not, the things like whether it's a gluten content to all this, they have a lot of the consumers are much more educated, so you have to have that certain standard level in your, and generally to standardize to all that, getting, say, if it is US market, there's a certain standards. If it is European, there's a certain standard. Japan and other countries, there are different standards. Getting those standards are very expensive as well, right? So my initial advice is you have to find a partner in those countries who knows the business, who knows the food business, right? End to end, how to get the standardization, and how to tap the market. So without that, it's very difficult to sell food products in outside Sri Lanka. Other products may be not so difficult, because you can keep them for a long period of time and all that, because you have to do the proper sensory testing in the product, because sometimes the product which is good for our sensors, for example, we may taste it in a different way, but say European standards, it's totally different, right? So they need to, you have to do the proper sensory testing with the consumers in those part of the countries. But if you're selling the same product to say India or maybe sometimes the Middle East or Asian countries, it's not a big deal. Sometimes the standards also quite low compared to those countries. But you have to make sure that you have a proper partner who knows the business. Without that, it's very difficult to run a food business from Sri Lanka to outside. So I think that's my knowledge. I mean, I'm not an expert in this area. I mean, in terms of, exporting food products to outside, but I have done it, tried it actually, a couple of years ago. In fact, I have sold some products in Amazon as well, food products. But I know where we failed in that particular products because we couldn't sell much is basically we started selling a product which is very difficult for the American consumers to understand. So what we actually try to sell was a product something like Nutella, but made out of kithul treacle and organic coconuts, right? So product was it was organic, 100% organic, no, I mean, it's all natural. But then to explain the product to American citizen, we had to spend a lot of marketing money. It's a new product. But had we sold something pretty much straightforward, which they normally found in a normal supermarket in US, would have been easier. But here we are trying to put a product a bit different to what they used to consume. We had all the US organic certificates as well, but still what we saw is we had to spend a lot of money to marketing, into marketing, even to sell in Amazon system. So then we realized we didn't have the enough funding to do that. So that's why it really failed. And then so I think, so my experience is that, you have to have a good partner. So the first thing that you have to do is to find that partner who can take your products in the market, who knows the market, who knows the entire process, getting whatever the certification, and then let him run the business. So basically, you can't control end to end of the business, but maybe have a certain portion of that particular business, but you manage the manufacturing and taking the products up to the ports, and maybe your partner look after the other side of it.
Excuse, can you hear me, sir?
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, there's another question, sir. Okay, when it comes to export, we are having to target the more scale. So as you said, if people are ready to sell their product through the eBay or Amazon, if you take the India, there is a special website for Amazon.in. So even from a remote area, one person is able to sell even a small number of products. So how as a Sri Lankan, how can they sell their product to these Amazon or eBay? Because we don't have such a website in Sri Lanka. Even Kaprukas are selling their own products to that. They are not giving any chances for the suppliers to display their product. Only they can find the suppliers are hidden in that website. So in Amazon or eBay, how as a Sri Lankan can enter into this website and reach the international market?
You need a partner. As I mentioned, you need to have, so if it is Amazon, you need to have a partner in that particular country, because Amazon, if somebody click the product within certain amount of time, maybe sometimes they have like 48 hours to whatever the time duration, you need to send the product to the customer. So you need to have a logistic operation in that country. You have to manage that. So without that, you can't do it. You can't post. You need a logistic partner. If it is Amazon, right? Alibaba is different, but in Amazon, you need to have a logistic partner doing that in that country. And he has to manage. Of course, he can use other logistic methods and things like that, but you need to have at least the storage facility of that product within the range of Amazon delivery services.
Okay, thank you, sir. Actually, we are lacking in this area, so how to, because
Yeah.
people don't know how to do the exporting things and how to sell their products to the Amazon. So as a Sri Lankan, we need to learn this, but we don't have any source to go get this information.
Yeah, first thing is actually you have to find a partner. Without that, it's impossible to do, especially food related products outside Sri Lanka.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Heminder, there is another question.
Okay.
When it's asking, although our country manufactures some of the world's best brands, I always feel that Sri Lanka's sense fashion is still primitive. Example is the same designs and prints for the last 10 years. How can I make an impact on people for a change? Except for Sparse alone, why don't we have any other Sri Lankan luxury brands? Can we push towards this?
Oh yeah, I think fashion, one of the problems maybe what we face is that I know quite a few people now even say you're talking about the biggest company like MAs to Brandix to Hyderabad to all these companies are huge big companies, but then fashion itself is a different you know knowledge, right? For example, say looking at what the American market needs, right? Uh, Maybe we as Sri Lankans we can't understand that. So unless we are living in those countries, right? And then what sort of fashion they want, what sort of products they want, right? So that's why it's very difficult for us to design something for a totally different consumer segment. So that's why even the companies of that capacity like MAS to Brandix, they do the manufacturing part only. They manufacture for a customer. The customer could be Gap to Marks and Spencer or whatever the big brands that you are talking about. Because what we are good at is doing that manufacturing, maybe using our efficiencies and things like that, the economic viabilities in the entire process. The manufacturing process we can do it much cheaper than maybe it is done in a European country. So that's why we are doing what we are good at it. But even having said that, I know MA's tried a brand for Indian market, right, and Sri Lanka, the South Asia, right, which I don't know how successful that is, but then they never tried a brand outside Sri Lanka because it's need a lot of other things. So but I mean that is for apparel section. But then if you look at products like, for example, what Sparsilon doing, I think that's an area that Sri Lankans can be really successful because we have so-called advantage in terms of the intrinsic quality that we have in our country. For example, we have a unique biodiversity in the country. Then we have this Ayurveda and Helavedakam and all these other unique knowledge within the country. So if we can, collect these two, the knowledge and the intrinsic quality in our raw materials, and if you come up with a product, say maybe a soap or a certain fragrance or perfume or maybe something more medicinal value, I think that has a huge appeal in terms of for even for foreign markets, because we know people are looking for those things, more natural products for as maybe medicinal value to various other things. So if you can come up with a product, I think Sparsilon is right there, right on track in marketing a product which is unique because we have the right ingredients in the country with intrinsic value. Some trees, some plants only grown in Sri Lanka because we are a biodiversity hotspot. Then the knowledge, the intrinsic knowledge that is coming from the Ayurveda, which is in India, or maybe Helavedakam or whatever that is in Sri Lanka, that knowledge is unique to Sri Lanka. So we have the unique advantage that nobody has outside Sri Lanka. So if you can use that, and of course, what we need is the product development skill set to come up with a product which is easy to use for them. We can't give like, for example, like in Ayurveda or Ayurveda give a set of ingredients and ask them to, develop the products, it will never happen. You have to give a product that easy to use, like a cake of soap or whatever. If you can do that and do the right packaging, right attractive packaging, I think we have a huge market. So why others are not doing? Maybe because we have not identified this potential. Anybody can do it, of course. Like Sparsilon is doing. I mean, if Sparsilon can do it, anybody can do it. Of course, you need to have that bit of knowledge in terms of what exactly to be used and the manufacturing process too, and of course that marketing talent in terms of course the connections to the building the brand to getting the exact partner outside Sri Lanka. If you can do that, anybody can do that, and for sure there's a huge market because I mean, at the start itself we are having the so-called competitive advantage because of the intrinsic quality in our ingredients and the knowledge. Hope I answered the question. It is Melanie, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one more question, Heminder. Like, when we enter the international market, cost matters a lot. How to overcome problem regarding import ban exposed in Sri Lanka because we get some raw materials from abroad suppliers.
Yeah, I think that's something. That's what apparel sector did. I think they have this joint apparel manufacturing. They have a conglomerate. I mean, like a consortium. So what they did was actually they, as a consortium, they got together. Even brought up to the highest level in the country, and they managed that so-called import taxes and all that things related to apparel industry. So that's why they can do it at that level, because they managed to get a lot of tax benefits in the industry. That's why they import about 80% of the stuff and sell the rest of it and get that value addition and the extra dollars. So so I don't know exactly what you are looking at. So depending on, for example, I know I'm focusing a lot on the electronic industry in Sri Lanka, and I know doing electronic industry in Sri Lanka is impossible because you can't produce everything that is related to a, say, like a chip to product in Sri Lanka. You have to bring a lot of stuff from outside, then sometimes assemble or maybe manufacture here and then resell it. But that import part, there's a lot of tax, so it's very difficult to compare our pricing, our cost of production compared to countries like China or other, even countries like say Vietnam. So you have this issue, but the problem is that as a consortium, we haven't really shown that, or pitch that or lobby the government in that level to get those tax benefits. I think so. I don't know which industry that Geet is talking about, but if you so depending on that, I think as a group, as a team, you have to lobby the government to get those tax benefits. Just because one person asks for example, reduce the, say, if you want to build electronic product related to, say, medical product, but if you ask, to build that, I need to bring the plastic container from, say, I don't know, maybe Taiwan, or maybe the electronic chips from, say, Malaysia, or maybe a small unit, again from maybe China. But if you ask for tax benefit for that particular product, that tax benefit could be used for people who are importing products just to sell here as well. So you have to look at both sides of it, and then you have to make sure that you have to have a proper governance method to show that this particular product is bought only for manufacturing. The rest of the products is not sold in Sri Lanka. So you need to do a lot of governance things to ensure that this particular product which is imported only used for export. So I think we haven't done that. We haven't done that mapping and pitch to the right person in the government. So I think maybe that's the reason you can't do it alone. So that's the problem. As an individual, if you can go and do it, that will never happen. So you have to make sure that you have to work as a team, identify who are the other people in the same business, and pitch that as a collective effort. I think certain industries the government is looking at, for example, related to spice business, then even shipbuilding, and there are certain even electronics industry. Government is now looking at that kind of venue, but I don't know how long it will take. But if Geet can tell me exactly the product that he's trying to build, I think I can explain a bit more. But in generic terms, those are the issues that we have.
Yeah, thank you, Heminder. So there are no more questions. If Geet would like to further explain that, she could go on. So she's talking about turmeric and dried ginger.
Turmeric and dry ginger, okay. And as it is, or we are trying to produce something out of it. So out of turmeric, you can extract two different types of extracts. Yeah. Or you are trying to sell as it is, or sell the extract, or you are selling something totally different made out of those.
She has answers for masala making. I think they're taking that as ingredients to make different masalas. Yeah.
Okay. So I think right now the problem, I think maybe if you look at the last 1 year, I think we stopped importing turmeric by the government. I think now the problem is not there. I think you can find enough turmeric and ginger from the country itself, but I don't know. I don't know the amount that you are talking about. If it is massive amounts, maybe difficult to find, but you don't have to import anything. That's what I think. If those are the materials that you are talking about, turmeric powder and ginger, you have enough in the country at the moment. Or if it is a specific product that you are talking about, then I don't know.
Yes, because the thing is, yeah, it's available, but they have created some suppliers, the black market. They want to increase the price, so they are selling it around 10,000 or 12,000 like that. It is created by the local supplier. So we are unable to get and meet the masala price with the Indian suppliers. Indians are very good in making masala. So when it comes to European market, we are unable to match their prices. That is the main problem.
Okay, so you have to import the masala from India, or you can't find the ingredients in?
Actually, some ingredients we cannot find here, because especially when it's come to cardamom, we need to get the cardamom without removing the oil. Some cardamoms which are coming from India, some are they are removing the oil, and some are coming just as it is, as a raw. So there are some cloves we are getting from India. The dried ginger, especially, we are getting from China, and turmeric also like that. So because of the cost, some local suppliers are giving it more cost, and when it comes to once the import is banned, they are always trying to increase the price by making some short supply. They are creating that, so that is the main problem.
So I'm not the expert because I don't know the product exactly. So I don't know what really the issue, why we have to get it from India itself. But have you tried doing a bit of innovation on your own to build that in Sri Lanka with whatever that is available? Because most of the things that you said are available in Sri Lanka.
Yes, I have tried, sir, but the problem is the price. We are unable to, we have to keep some price level to compete with the Indian suppliers.
So the raw material in Sri Lanka is expensive.
Yeah, it's if it is India, no problem. So anyway, we are trying to put the plant in India, but before that, just to avoid those costing, and because of the COVID, we are unable to move to India. But in Sri Lanka, we have build some facilities to produce that. So we are trying to get, but unable to meet that?
Yeah, one problem is I think it's the scale, the massive scale in India. It's very difficult to match with the small amounts that we are producing in the country. So obviously, Indian market and also India, because of the big scale, they can produce the same product at much lower. I mean, a lot of products that is what happens. So obviously, if you try to find the same material, same ingredients within Sri Lanka, the cost wise there's a difference. That's economic. So I think usually what you have to look at, if you want to sell it from Sri Lanka itself, and do not get, try to avoid as much as imports. I think the way forward is what I mentioned earlier. You have to look at that intrinsic quality which is in Sri Lanka and develop your product. So there's product innovation is required. You have to develop the product which is unique to Sri Lanka, which has that intrinsic quality that others can't dictate terms. So that's where the success story. So for example, if you come up with something from Sri Lankan tea itself, say a specific extract, which is unique to Sri Lanka, or maybe like a specific extract coming from Sri Lankan, say cinnamon, or specific extract even coming from, say, Sri Lankan, a lot of product like Garcinia to a lot of things which only available in Sri Lanka, you can have that competitive advantage. But if you're looking at a product which is widely available globally, then you have to, it's difficult to produce that at the same economies of scale from Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka is a, scale wise, you don't have that same luxury. So that boils down to the entire product and the innovation and what you're looking at. But I think to answer your question, I think it's if you have to buy, product from India, yes, right now because of the COVID, there's an issue. I don't think it will solve until we see that, people can move freely, because whoever who knows the trade, who knows how to get things imported at this time with all these issues, will try to get the maximum out of it. That is a bit difficult to solve.
Yeah, that is the most of, actually this is not only my side questions, the problem which are faced by my friends and everybody I'm talking about. The most things we were very encouraged before the COVID-19, but after this they are discouraged. They are trying to move from their business and to try to work under another person or like that. So that's a sad story. Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Heminder, for answering all the questions. So I think there are no more questions, so we are good to wind up with that. So I would like to thank Heminder for taking time off his busy schedule and being with us this morning to share some very in-depth details about the social enterprises and getting our audience to understand what is it all about. And I would also like to thank our listeners and viewers here today for joining this session. And we look forward to seeing you all in the future sessions as well. Thank you, everyone. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, Lighty Hub. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.